Even after decades in medicine, there's one change I see again and again: how quietly vision begins to fade. Not all at once, not dramatically. It often begins with something small: a hesitation while reading fine print, a second glance at a familiar face, a moment of uncertainty while driving at night when headlights seem just a little too bright. Have you ever wondered when that shift truly begins? Most people are told a simple story: it's just aging. But research suggests something far more interesting is happening beneath the surface. Inside your eyes, there is a delicate system, almost like a camera, constantly adjusting, repairing, and refining what you see. And like any sophisticated system, it depends on two things: timing and raw materials. Now, here is the part many people never hear. Studies indicate that between the ages of 60 and 80, the density of protective pigments in the eye can decline significantly, sometimes as much as 30% per decade. These pigments act like built-in filters, shielding your vision from harsh light and helping you see detail clearly. Without them, the world doesn't disappear, it just becomes slightly dimmer, slightly blurrier, like looking through a window that was once crystal clear but is now gently fogged. But what if this fog isn't permanent? What if your eyes are still trying to repair themselves every single night, but simply don't have what they need to finish the job? Because something fascinating happens when you close your eyes and drift into sleep. And this is where the story takes an unexpected turn. When you fall asleep, something remarkable begins, not in your dreams, but deep within your eyes. Most people imagine sleep as a time of rest, stillness, inactivity. But research suggests the opposite is true, especially for your vision. In the quiet darkness of deep sleep, your eyes begin what scientists sometimes describe as a night shift. Blood flow to the retina, the delicate layer at the back of the eye responsible for capturing light, can increase significantly, sometimes by nearly 40%. It's as if a dimly lit workshop suddenly turns on its brightest lights. Why would the body do this? Because the retina is one of the most energy-demanding tissues in the entire body. Every day, it is exposed to light, oxidative stress, and microscopic wear. And each night, it attempts to repair that damage, cell by cell, layer by layer. Imagine a team of tiny artisans working through the night, restoring a masterpiece painting that has been exposed to sunlight all day. They clean, rebuild, and reinforce every delicate detail. But here's the question most people never ask. What happens if those artisans don't have the materials they need? What if the tools are ready, the timing is perfect, but the essential building blocks are simply missing? Studies indicate that as we age, it's not just the repair process that changes, it's the availability of nutrients reaching the eye during this critical window. And without those nutrients, the repair remains incomplete, subtle at first, almost unnoticeable, until one day it isn't. And this is where a hidden gap begins to reveal itself. There's a quiet idea emerging in vision science, something researchers have been piecing together over the years. What if declining eyesight isn't simply the result of time passing, but the result of something missing? A kind of nourishment gap. Think of your eyes like a garden that is carefully tended each night. The soil is prepared, the timing is perfect, the environment is calm and protected. But if the nutrients in that soil are depleted, the plants may survive, yet they won't truly thrive. Could the same be happening inside your eyes? Studies suggest that the body still attempts to carry out its nightly repair processes well into later life. The machinery doesn't simply shut off. Mitochondria, the tiny energy generators inside your cells, continue to work, fueling repair and regeneration. But here's where it becomes fascinating. Many of the nutrients required for these processes, like carotenoids, antioxidants, and essential fatty acids, are not produced efficiently by the body. They must come from what we consume, and more importantly, when we consume them. Because timing, it turns out, may be everything. If these nutrients are not available in the bloodstream during that critical window of deep sleep, the repair process may begin, but never fully complete. Have you ever woken up and felt your eyes were more tired than rested? Slightly dry, slightly strained, as if they hadn't quite recovered. That feeling might not be random. It may be a subtle signal, a quiet message from your body saying, "I tried, but I didn't have what I needed." And this is where the story begins to shift towards something you can influence. At the very center of your vision, there is a tiny, remarkable structure, no larger than a grain of rice. It's called the macula. And it is responsible for some of the most meaningful moments in life. Reading a message from someone you love, recognizing a familiar face across the room, noticing the fine details in a photograph. But here's something many people never realize. The macula is protected by a special layer of pigment, often described by scientists as your eye's built-in sunglasses. These pigments help filter harsh blue light and reduce oxidative stress, allowing you to see with clarity and precision. Now, imagine those sunglasses slowly fading, not disappearing all at once, but thinning year by year. Research suggests that macular pigment density can decline steadily with age, and as it does, something subtle begins to change. Lights appear harsher, glare becomes more intense. Headlights at night may start to look like starbursts, almost as if they're scattering in every direction. Have you ever noticed that? It's not just discomfort, it's a shift in how light is processed. Like a camera lens losing its protective coating, allowing too much light to flood in, washing out the image. But here's the intriguing part. Scientists have observed that this pigment isn't fixed. It can be influenced, supported, rebuilt to a degree when the right compounds are available. So the question becomes, what exactly are these pigments made of? And why does the body seem to run short of them at the very time they're needed most? Because the answer to that question begins to change everything. What those protective pigments are made of is both simple and surprisingly overlooked. They come primarily from two compounds, lutein and zeaxanthin. These are naturally occurring carotenoids, tiny molecules that travel through the bloodstream and concentrate specifically in the macula, almost as if they know where they're needed most. Scientists have observed that when these compounds are present in sufficient amounts, they form that protective lens we spoke about, filtering harsh light and sharpening visual detail. But here's where things become unexpectedly nuanced. Not all sources of these nutrients are absorbed equally. You may have heard that leafy greens contain lutein, and they do. But studies indicate that the body often struggles to fully absorb these compounds from plant sources alone, especially when fat intake is low. Now consider something quite different, the humble egg yolk. Rich, golden, and often misunderstood. Research suggests that lutein and zeaxanthin from egg yolks may be absorbed up to 5 times more efficiently than from vegetables. Why? Because they come packaged with natural fats, the very thing these nutrients require to travel through the body and reach the eye. It's a bit like trying to send a delicate package across a river. Without a boat, it simply doesn't arrive. And then there are goji berries, deeply colored, slightly sweet, providing an additional source of these same pigments, supporting the macula in its nightly restoration. So here's a quiet question to consider. If your eyes are working through the night to rebuild their natural sunglasses, are they receiving these materials in time? Or are they waiting unfinished? Because what happens next in the visual system may surprise you even more. There's another system inside your eyes, one that only reveals itself when the lights go down. It's responsible for that delicate transition between brightness and darkness, the moment when your eyes adjust after sunset, or when you step into a dimly lit room. This system depends on a light-sensitive protein called rhodopsin. You can think of rhodopsin as a kind of night vision switch. During the day, it rests, but as darkness falls, it activates, allowing your eyes to detect even the faintest traces of light. But what happens when that switch becomes weaker? Have you ever noticed that night driving feels more stressful than it used to? That shadows seem deeper, contrasts less clear, headlights more blinding? Research suggests this may be linked to a gradual decline in rhodopsin regeneration. And here's the key detail. Your body must continuously rebuild this protein using specific nutrients. Without them, the switch doesn't fully turn on, like a dimmer that never reaches full brightness. Scientists have observed that compounds like beta-carotene and anthocyanins play an important role in this rebuilding process. They act as raw materials, helping the eye restore its sensitivity to low light. Imagine trying to light a room with a candle that hasn't been fully formed yet. The flame flickers, but never quite stabilizes. So the question becomes, is the darkness really getting worse, or is the eye simply losing its ability to adapt? Because the way this system is supported may change how you see the night entirely. To understand how this night vision switch can be supported, we need to look at something surprisingly familiar, the foods we often overlook. Consider the sweet potato. Warm, soft, naturally vibrant in color, it carries beta-carotene, a compound the body can convert into vitamin A, a key building block for rhodopsin. But here's what makes this interesting. Research suggests that without enough dietary fat, this conversion becomes inefficient. The nutrient is present, but never fully utilized. It's like having all the ingredients for a recipe, but never turning on the stove. Now, imagine a simple evening moment. A small portion of baked sweet potato, perhaps with a touch of coconut oil. Nothing dramatic, nothing complicated, and yet, this combination may provide both the raw material and the transport system needed for absorption. And then there are bilberries. Dark, almost ink-colored, rich in anthocyanins, compounds scientists have studied for their role in improving visual adaptation in low light. Studies indicate they may support the regeneration cycle of rhodopsin, helping the eye respond more efficiently to darkness. Have you ever stepped outside at dusk and felt your eyes struggling to catch up with the fading light? What if that delay isn't inevitable? What if it's simply a signal that the system needs support? Because just beyond this layer of vision, there is another factor quietly influencing how clearly we see, and most people never feel it at all. There is a kind of pressure inside the eye, so subtle that most people never notice it. It doesn't ache, it doesn't throb, and yet over time it can influence how well the eye functions, especially the delicate nerve structures responsible for transmitting visual information to the brain. Scientists refer to this as intraocular pressure. Now, here's where it becomes intriguing. Research suggests that maintaining the integrity of the eye's internal structures, particularly collagen and microvascular networks, plays a role in how this pressure is regulated. When these structures weaken, the system becomes less stable, like the frame of a house under quiet strain. Have you ever experienced a vague sense of visual fatigue? Not sharp pain, but a kind of heaviness behind the eyes. It may not be your imagination. Studies indicate that certain nutrients like gamma-linolenic acid, or GLA, and vitamin C may support these internal structures. One source that stands out is black currants. Small, deeply colored, often overlooked. They contain compounds that may help reinforce the eye's internal environment, supporting both circulation and structural balance. But here's the important detail. GLA is delicate. Heat can degrade it, which means how it's consumed matters. Imagine trying to repair a fine thread with material that has already been weakened. The result is never quite the same. So the question becomes, what if the eye isn't just lacking clarity, but stability? And if that's true, what else might it be lacking? If nutrients are the building blocks of repair, then energy is what brings that repair to life. And inside your eyes, that energy comes from something incredibly small, yet profoundly important: mitochondria. These tiny structures act like microscopic batteries, powering the cells of the retina so they can perform their nightly restoration. But like any battery, their efficiency can change over time. Research suggests that reduced mitochondrial function may contribute to slower cellular repair, especially in tissues with high energy demands, like the eye. So, even if the right nutrients are present, without sufficient energy, the work remains incomplete. It's like having a fully stocked workshop, but dim lighting and failing tools. Now, consider something unexpected. Raw cacao, not the heavily processed kind, but its more natural form, contains a compound called epicatechin. Studies, including observations from research groups such as those at Harvard, suggest this compound may significantly support blood flow, including to the retina. In some cases, increases in circulation have been notable. And why does this matter? Because blood flow is what delivers both oxygen and nutrients directly to the cells that need them most. Imagine a river that has been flowing slowly, suddenly gaining strength, reaching places it once struggled to access. Have you ever wondered what your eyes might do if they simply had more energy to repair? Because just when we think we understand the system, something even more surprising enters the picture. Among all the compounds studied for eye health, there is one that continues to intrigue researchers. It's delicate, aromatic, almost ancient in its presence. Saffron. For centuries, it has been valued in different cultures. But modern studies have begun to explore something quite unexpected: its relationship with the retina itself. Research indicates that certain compounds in saffron may help support the function of photoreceptor cells, the very cells responsible for detecting light. In some observations, scientists have noted improved responsiveness in individuals experiencing age-related visual decline, almost as if something dormant begins to stir again. Have you ever felt certain abilities fade quietly, not gone, just less active? That's the image many researchers describe. Not loss, but reduced activity. Now imagine gently reawakening that activity. Some preparation methods seem to matter as well. When saffron threads are steeped in warm liquid rather than exposed to high heat, the delicate compounds remain intact. Pairing it with certain spices may even enhance how the body utilizes these molecules. It's a subtle process, like coaxing a dim ember back into a soft glow. So the question becomes, if some cells are not entirely gone, but simply less responsive, what might happen if they are supported at the right time? Because timing, as it turns out, may be the final and most important piece of this entire story. By now, a pattern begins to emerge. It's not just what the eyes receive, but when they receive it. This brings us to what some researchers quietly refer to as a window of opportunity, a short period before sleep when the body prepares for its deepest phase of repair. Roughly 45 to 90 minutes before deep sleep begins. During this time, nutrients consumed may enter the bloodstream just as retinal blood flow begins to rise. Studies suggest this timing could influence how effectively those nutrients are delivered to the eye during its nightly restoration. Have you ever noticed how the body follows rhythms, almost like tides? This is one of them. And there's another layer. Many of the compounds we've explored, lutein, zeaxanthin, beta-carotene, are fat-soluble. Without dietary fats, their journey through the body becomes limited. It's like sending a message without a carrier. Even body position may play a role. Some observations suggest that lying down after this window can modestly support circulation to the eyes, allowing nutrients to reach their destination more efficiently. So, what does this all mean? Perhaps vision isn't simply fading. Perhaps each night your eyes are attempting something remarkable, rebuilding clarity, restoring balance, refining detail. But like any process of renewal, it depends on preparation, on timing, on availability. So here is a quiet question to carry with you tonight. What if the difference between blur and clarity begins long before you close your eyes? And this is where your story with vision may begin to change.